progress.
Thank you. Hello. Open this meeting of the Wellfleet Planning Board. We have a quorum. Any announcements, open session, public comments? Seeing none.
Someone is online.
Okay.
Let's see aloud.
Who is it?
EMB?
Who?
I'm not sure, EMB?
It's usually Murray Brown.
Yes.
Hi. I guess, I don't know if you can see me. I am a homeowner on High Toss, and I just wanted to make a comment about the trees. Is this the right time to talk about that?
No, because public open session is something for someone to make a comment. However, this is a public hearing. So consequently, when we get to that point in discussion, I will open it to the general public.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
We have Helen Miranda Wilson.
Has she got her hand up? No. Okay.
She does.
She does?
Yes.
Yes, Helen?
Yes, Helen Miranda Wilson. Because this is, I guess, some kind of webinar or otherwise restricted, it is not possible for those of us in the Zoom to see how many people are attending, which is a component of open meeting law. It's not legally required. Can you tell us how many people are on Zoom now? I can see how many people are in the room. If you follow my thought.
I follow your thought.
How many people are in the meeting now, including Zoomers? Please. Thank you.
How many people are in the meeting, present on Zoom and members of the planning board?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how many?
11 present, five members of the planning board, and one member of the planning board on Zoom, and there are 11 or 10 on, if you want to include yourself, on Zoom.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. First item on the agenda is scenic road bylaw, public hearing. The public hearing is on scenic roads. I believe we're going to take all three at a time. So first, in whichever order they want to present, Bound Island, which is Old County Road to Bound Island Public Landing. High Toss Road from Pole Dyke Road to Duck Harbor Road. Old County Road from Transfer Station to Bound Island Road. I'm sorry, from Transfer Station to Truro on Old County Road. Before the presenters, if you don't mind, for new members on the planning board and some older members that have never gone through scenic road. This is a very large project. Planning board would normally take one road, that would be it. It's rather simple. I want to inform and let the members of the planning board know, as well as members in the audience and in Zoom, our confinement to scenic road is the layout of the roads. In this case, most of these are either 30 or 40 feet laid out, defined roads. They are town roads, they are public town scenic roads. Our jurisdiction is simply within the 40-foot and 30-foot layout of these roads. It has nothing to do, we have no jurisdiction over the areas that will be disturbed outside of the scenic road. And for those of you, as an abutter or concerned, those are out of our jurisdiction. So I want to give everybody a heads up, because I know there may be some questions, well, there's a lot of trees coming in because of the curb, because of the cuts and fills. We're only concerned with trees, stone walls, and the road itself within that 40 feet. From what I can tell, after driving it to familiar myself again today, there are no stone walls anywhere on any one of the three properties. Thankfully, I appreciate DPW head Jay Norton for cutting back gently a little bit of these roads so we could visually see where the stakes are. If some members did go out there, I can tell you I did, to see the setbacks of those roads. So it was a very good visual to see with the clearing of some brush. I didn't think I saw a single tree taken down, but simply brush back anywhere from 3 to 4 or 5 feet. So that's appreciated. But I wanted everybody to know our jurisdiction is extremely limited to the layout of these roads. Okay? Would you like to make a presentation? Go.
All right, I can begin. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Jay Norton, the DPW Director for the town of Wellfleet. I also have Carol Ridley here, Project Coordinator for the Herring River Restoration. We also have Wes Stinson in the audience. He's the owner project representative from Apex Industries. We also have on Zoom, I believe, Clayton Carlisle, who is the engineer from WSP, who is the design engineer on this and overall project manager for the low-lying roads portion of the Herring River project. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you basically said half of what I was about to say, so you helped me out there. Thank you. But I'd just like to kind of introduce it by saying, you know, we were in front of you guys, I believe, about 6 months ago for the layout of Old County Road and the road widening easements. And this particular topic got brought up and the need of to come in front of you in a public hearing setting for the scenic road bylaw as part of the low-lying roads project for the Herring River. I just want to reemphasize the chapter 200, the scenic road bylaw, and just read it aloud, just so everybody in the audience and online and the board members can hear. I know, Mr. Chair, you already did this, but I'm just going to read it word for word from the bylaw. And it says, except under emergency conditions defined as unforeseen events that prevent safe travel or effective emergency access, no forestry, repair, maintenance, reconstruction, or paving work done with respect thereto shall involve or include the cutting or removal of trees, or the tearing down or destruction of stone walls or portions thereof within the layout of a scenic road, except with prior written consent of the planning board after a public hearing held in accordance with MGL 4015C. So this is why we're here. As the chair stated, the jurisdiction of the planning board is within the right-of-way of the town layout, which we did stake for you guys, just for viewing purposes. And we also had a report prepared, hopefully you had a chance to review it, by Bartlett's tree experts. And their scope of work pertained to having a certified arborist review the vegetation affected by the scenic road bylaw, identify and inventory trees that will be affected by the proposed work, inventory trees by species, condition, and size, keeping in consideration the locally notable tree bylaw. And the deliverable that we received from them was a report that you guys have in your packet and an inventory of the trees. I just want to emphasize that So obviously, we have the Herring River project. We're raising the roads to accommodate increased tidal flow as part of that project, and the Chequesset Neck River Bridge that will be incrementally opened over time to allow restoration of the Herring River estuary. But in the same sense, we also have the Duck Harbor overwash, which is creating another set of conditions that we need to assess. And it really is becoming a point to where it was an emergency last spring and winter, where we had to temporarily raise portions of Old County Road to prevent flooding. So it's getting to that point now. Obviously, we're here for another purpose, but we have two things we're contending with on these back roads now. So just kind of wanted to reiterate that for the board. And with that, I'd hand it over to Carol.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Jay, and good evening to the members of the board and members of the public present. My name is Carol Ridley, and I'm the project coordinator for the Herring River Restoration Project. We have a few slides, brief slides to share with you, and given the two excellent introductions from the chair and from Jay, I won't belabor points that they've already made, but just to put this request before you this evening in context of the Herring River Restoration Project, and to remind those listening of the scope of this project, its purpose is to restore the degraded floodplain, the degraded historic Herring River floodplain. We are currently permitted to restore up to 570 acres of that floodplain, with the intent over time to eventually seek additional permits for 890 acres of restoration, which would be the full restoration of the wetlands. And all of the infrastructure that is being planned and designed and implemented and funded presently by federal and state grants is designed for that full restoration condition. So we won't have to come back and do more at that later date. This includes improvements to a lot of different habitat features, Tidal Creek fish passage. There's going to be vastly improved water quality. We will have salt marsh restored, which will increase the resilience of the floodplain. Salt marsh is also very effective at storing carbon, sequestering carbon, which is a potent greenhouse gas. And currently, sections of the wetland, because they are degraded, are emitting methane, which is also a heat-trapping gas. So there's some significant climate resilience benefits to this project, as well as the improvements to shellfish habitat, water quality, and just the general aesthetics of the floodplain. It should be quite a beautiful resource for recreational purposes, as well as habitat for aquatic life and birds. So many, many different benefits of this project. And as Jay alluded to, there are a number of water control features. The concept here is quite simple in that the idea is to remove tidal restrictions that are restricting the ability for water to flow from the harbor into the former estuary. The main one being the Chequesset Neck Bridge, dike, which is now being replaced with a new bridge and tide gates, as Jay noted. But there are other restrictions throughout the system. There's a new water control feature that's nearing completion at the entrance to the Mill Creek subbasin, which is actually on Cape Cod National Seashore property. There's going to be a new water control device installed at Pole Dyke Creek, the entrance of that subbasin. And also, several culverts under roadways throughout the floodplain will be enlarged to facilitate the flow of water. All of that is going to help us, as Jay mentioned, in a very monitored and incremental and metered way, reintroduce tidal flow into the system and allow those natural resources to regenerate. Now, one of the requirements of the permits for this work is to ensure that we protect the built environment, that by restoring tidal waters to the system, we don't cause harm to public or private built environment. And that includes low-lying roads. So per our permits that we have received for this Phase 1 tidal restoration, we're required to elevate the low roads, which we're going to talk about a little bit more this evening. There's a little bit of work on some private properties that are adjacent to those roads. That's part of the whole package of that work. And of course, there's additional mitigation that's planned for the Chequesset Club Golf Course. And as I noted, all of that work is designed for full tidal restoration. So that's essentially the project, and this low roads work is a component of it. And just to refresh your understanding of it, so our objectives are to elevate the roads to a point where they will be protected from the effects of tidal restoration, and to install enlarged culverts, there's a total of 7 of them, that will facilitate tidal flow throughout the floodplain. So we have about 602 non-contiguous miles of roads involved here. It's not all one long shot. About 671 linear feet of that is in the town of Truro, along with 2 of the 7 culverts also in the town of Truro. So that is essentially the scope of the work. And the roads will be elevated to between 3.3 to 3.6 feet with 3-to-1 slopes that will facilitate, wildlife passage and be, safe for motorists and pedestrians and others who use the roadways. We have obtained easements from the Cape Cod National Seashore and any other private properties who we need easements from in order to do this work for any of the work that extends beyond the town road layout. And essentially, the roads will retain their current character in terms of road width, et cetera. As has been noted, some of this work, but not all of it, is along sections of scenic roads, Bound Brook Island Road, High Toss Road, and Old County Road and Bound Brook Island Road from the transfer station to Truro. So that's the scope of our matter before you this evening, and I won't just share with you again the bylaw that Jay recited a few moments ago, which focuses in our instance on the cutting of trees. So as we thought about coming before you and the information that would be helpful for you to put this all into context, we decided it would be useful to have a tree expert take a look at the resources along the roadway so we could give you a better picture of what the project would mean in terms of tree cutting. So as Jay noted, Bartlett tree experts were engaged through the design engineer WSP. We worked with them to develop a scope of work, and at their suggestion, they conducted the survey during the spring season when the trees were leafed out, so they would have a better idea of what the impacts would be. So Jay pretty much read through their scope. They identified a total of 328 trees in that report that's in your packet. I do want to note that they conducted their survey in the entire work zone for all of the low road work. So that extends beyond the town road layout and also includes areas that are not on scenic roads. So that 328 trees is beyond the number of trees that is actually within the scope of the scenic bylaw. I can't give you a precise number, but I can tell you that that number includes areas that aren't within the scope of the scenic road bylaw. They also looked not only at the number of trees, but at the condition of trees. And perhaps not surprising to many who drive along the roadways, a good number of the trees are not great condition. So about half, 25% dead and 22% poor. So about half of the trees within the survey of that total are either dead or in very poor condition, another quarter roughly in fair condition, and a quarter in good condition. That's presently. We also asked them to give us an estimate of what the future preservation potential is for these trees. Again, a little more than half of them are really not in very good condition for preservation purposes. So a lot of these trees are already stressed and either dead or not in great condition as of the Bartlett tree survey.
Can I just add something?
Sure, of course.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'd just like to kind of emphasize that as well, as the trees that were inventoried, a lot of them are stressed, and I think from a public safety perspective, the town at some point would have to deal with those trees, and it would be a considerable effort for us to go out and take those trees down and remove the limbs and everything like that. So I think the inundation of salt water from overwashes throughout the years have caused that, and it's something the town would have to face at some point, irregardless of this project. Just want to make that point.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. So just lastly, I wanted to give you a sense of the kind of the next steps with the road project, which has been advertised for a public bid. So it's currently under review by potential contractors. There was a pre-bid session just last week, and bids are due October 2nd. Assuming all goes to schedule, we would hope that the construction could start sometime in November or December of this year to get that going. And anticipate this would be an 18 to 24 month, probably more like 24-month construction period. We've been working very closely throughout the project with all of the various environmental restrictions on changes to habitat, and that includes tree clearing because that can provide habitat to certain rare species of bats. And so in working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, there is a time of year restriction, so tree clearing has to occur within a certain period of time, and that period of time is December 1st to March 15th. So that would be among the first activities that would be undertaken by a contractor. The first step would be for them to survey the work zone, so they would be sure precisely where clearing would be needed. Again, that's going to include road layout, it's going to include areas that are within the town road layout and other easement areas that, for which the project has obtained easements where work is needed. Once that survey is conducted and the town's resident engineer, which would be the engineering firm that would be working with the contractor to make sure everything's done according to plans, and the town's owner representative, in this case Apex, would be able to see whether there might be some areas where certain trees that have a good potential for success long-term could be preserved. That would be the time to make those judgments. They'd be sort of in the field, on the site judgments. That's a potential. We don't want to overstate that potential because it's likely that that's a small number of trees within that work zone that could be preserved. But certainly that is something that could be explored with the resident engineer and then discussed with the contractor. And I don't know if there's anything more you want to say about that, Jay.
No, I think.
Okay. So just to quickly, summarize, and then we look forward to your questions and any of those from the audience. This work really is essential. It's an essential component of the Herring River Restoration Project, both for the resilience of the roads and the public safety of area residents, and ensuring that the tidal restoration does not affect that portion of the built environment. We conducted an assessment impact of tree clearing using a highly qualified firm available locally. They looked at all of the areas within the work zone, exceeding the area of the town layout under the bylaw, and found that there are about 328 trees total, so fewer than that affected under the scenic road bylaw. Of the surveyed trees, half are currently dead or in poor condition, and half have a low suitability of long-term preservation. And all of these trees, and this was a point that was shared through our design engineer, WSP, in conversation with Bartlett experts, is that it's expected that all of these trees would be greatly impacted due to changes in grade. So as the embankments on the sides of the road are filled, that would be one impact on trees. Another would be the changes in tidal flow in some areas. So on the marsh side of roads where you would see more tidal influence, that too would be an impact. So all of these trees would be greatly impacted, and to Jay's point, potentially problems down the road if not addressed initially. So in light of that, we are requesting in accordance with Chapter 200, that the Planning Board provide written consent to this necessary tree clearing so that this important part of the Herring River project can proceed. And we've provided a suggested motion for that. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
What's just a question. What if you can't proceed with the raising of these 3 roads? What's the effect?
It would limit tidal restoration. We would not, so the bridge would be built, and we wouldn't be able to increase the flow of water into the floodplain for the purpose of the tidal restoration.
So you would have to substantially, for clarity in my mind, you would have to substantially reduce the opening of the Herring River Dike.
The new bridge and tide gates,
Yes.
correct, yes.
As the current 3 roads, I'm just going to lump these together, are at the present time, as Jay, I think, mentioned, there was a section of Old County Road that, on the way to Truro, I ran across just after Bombrook Island Road, that seemed the pavement was gone, and that you did some, or someone, I would imagine town of Wellfleet, did some regrading. Is that where there was consistent water flow over the road that deteriorated it?
Correct, yes. Yes, there were, so when the overwash occurred in the winter of '24, I think it was, there's considerable flooding at that location as well as where the Herring River crosses Old County Road as well, in other areas on Pole Dyke, as well as where Paradise Hollow is after Pama Point Road. So all those corridors of road would flood, and people literally couldn't even get to their house or leave their house. And that was a condition from the overwash. So we had to strategically look at that, and we raised that road about 2 feet. So we added,
Oh, that much?
yeah, so we added, I forget how many tons of gravel, but I mean, it was a considerable effort just to allow people access to their homes. So it was 100% public safety issue.
With all the bridge work going on at the present time, do we have any idea what the flow is, either an elevation level, where these roads are flooding at the present time, at least twice a month? I would imagine that elevation is fairly low at the present time with the work on the bridge.
Well,
And is that a clear question, or you want me to?
well, let me just add one comment, and then Jay may want to add more to it. So per permits, the flow through the structure presently is to maintain current conditions. So there's no tidal restoration occurring. It's just keeping water levels the same as they were with the 3-bay culvert structure there. So there's no increase coming through that Chequesset Neck structure at the present time during construction.
Okay.
What's happening, though, is when the overwashes it's not a two-way, it's not an inlet. So when the overwashes happen at Duck Harbor, the water flows in, and it doesn't really flow out, or not all of it, most of it doesn't flow out. And so it gets trapped in the system, and because of High Toss Causeway and because of the bridge, and it's trapped. And so it can't drain out. So the increase in water levels is due to that problem with drainage due to the existing tidal restrictions. When High Toss is removed, when the bridge is functioning, that is going to greatly facilitate the drainage. So, the Duck Harbor overwashes are completely separate from the project, but the project will help to ameliorate that problem, because as the water comes into the floodplain, it will be allowed to drain out more efficiently than right now it can't.
So a lot of the sand and the dune that eroded at Duck Harbor, which is bringing in the beach sand into the creek, isn't going back out again. That's why it's settling in and the beach is starting to come in. When work is done, with that outflow going back out into Cape Cod Bay, some of that will be taken back out again? Possibly.
I'm not in a position to comment on that, the flow of the plume
was
there.
wondering.
The plume that's
Okay.
created there.
I did some quick math, and these are just numbers because we don't have a number as to how many trees are within the 40-foot layout. But if there's 320 trees, of which almost half have already gone on the entire project, and then another 25%, which are marginal, and there's only 80 in fair condition. That's over the entire project, so there's not a tremendous amount, because I could see a few people just kind of flinch when you mentioned 320 trees. That's over a very large area with the grades and the fills. A lot of these, with the road going up, those trees would die anyway. So now I believe that we didn't touch on it, but to let the public know, I believe that Bartlett came up with 5 notable trees within the project.
Yes.
And I believe a couple of those are marginal and maybe dying.
Yeah, one
But-
was dead, I
Right, one
believe.
is dead, and I think there's
But
two-
those notable trees, if you have to work around them or take them down, that's a special permit by the Board of Appeals, so those will go to the Board of Appeals if necessary.
Correct. We
So
will
I think
have to go-
that's
yeah.
for number one, for the rest of the board,
Yep.
and number two, for those sitting in the audience.
Yeah.
There are notable trees, those are outside our parameters, but they may have to go to the Board of Appeals.
For a special permit, yes.
Okay. Planning board members, any questions? Yeah, I mean, Bonnie.
Yeah, so I did a little math too, and so I noticed that that it's very rare for a mature tree to be in good condition. It's just confirming what you were saying, that the current environment is not very suitable for tree growth. Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, there were only 5 mature trees in good condition out of those 328, and I don't even know how many of those are on the road, actually. It was, because I just got, at some point I wanted, an Excel sheet and to be able to cross-reference and figure it out. But anyway, so I just, and the other question I have is from the memorandum at the beginning. So it basically says that the tree expert's opinion is that all of the trees in the limit of disturbance would be impacted greatly, with most, if not all, trees declining and dying due to saltwater intrusion and grade changes. It is anticipated that all of these trees would be removed during construction, except for the 3 notable trees below. So we're actually, what we're actually voting on is permission to basically remove all the trees that are in this inventory, except for the notable trees, and with the exception that you noted, which is that, there was a purpose, I guess, for identifying the trees that could be preserved, that were, I guess, eligible for preservation in case the grade or if they weren't on the marsh side or whatever. So it sounds like you're going to use some discretion to save what you can.
That would be possible, but again, probably in limited circumstances. And the only note I would add to your statement is that the 320, so the permission we're seeking from the planning board is to remove trees within the road layout. So it's a number less than 328, just to be clear for the
Yes.
record. Yeah.
Yes. Right.
I caution the board again, be careful when you ask questions outside of that layout. I know they've given us a tremendous amount of information outside the layout, but we have to be very careful in the decision we make that we do not enter a decision considering, because there's some severe grades that are going to happen outside, and I don't mean to, outside the road layouts. When you go to 3-to-1 grade, or even 2-to-1, with some of those roads being raised that way, there's going to be substantial deterioration of what you see out there as far as trees go. But remember, our limit is within that layout. Okay?
Within the 40-foot layout of the road,
Yes.
if there are significant trees mentioned, are those referred to the zoning board of appeals?
Those, I believe, the 5 notable trees, I believe are within, and you clarify me if I'm wrong, I believe they're within the 40-foot layouts? Or are they outside of the layouts?
I'm not sure
That
about
needs to
that.
be-
Yeah, we can clarify that, and I don't know, Clayton Carlisle's on, he might be able to speak to that.
Okay.
But we,
Out of the 5, Carol,
yes, yes,
one
please.
is not within the layout, so that would be savable.
One of
And
them?
one is dead that's within the layout, and the other 3 are in fair condition.
Are they inside the layout or outside the layout?
So to be clear, one is outside the layout, and the other 4 are within the layout.
Okay. Good. I think that.
I'm sorry.
clarifies
There you
my
go.
question.
So those would be
Thank you.
referred,
Those would be referred to the Board of Appeals, and they would probably do further research to see the condition, what the grades are, can they work around them, but that's in their jurisdiction.
okay. But our jurisdiction would just cover the road
Yes.
area itself.
Right.
Whether or not it includes the significant trees.
Yes.
Okay.
Bob?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. I guess I have a question and a clarification following up on Bonnie's question. So in the report that was given to us, the multi-page 55-page report, on page 24, which has that yellow, green, red pie chart that you put up on the screen previously, we have the trees that are suitable for preservation. And so in there, we have a high suitability of 77 trees. And then if I look at the color photographs, the aerial photographs, I can see these trees indicated along the roads. So I guess my question is, are these trees that are within what we're discussing tonight, or are these trees which are outside that zone? And if they are preserved, that really has nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight. Like it's outside our, I don't know what you call it, jurisdiction.
Right, so the, if I may, Mr. Chair?
Certainly.
The aerial photographs and the colored dots are both within your jurisdiction and outside of your jurisdiction. And,
They're on the road.
right. Well, some of them, so some of that is because of just the scale and the, geolocation has a margin of, being off a little bit. So, yeah, the ones on the road are likely not on the road.
Okay, so at the end of the document, we have an appendix, which is the tree preservation guidelines. So am I to understand then that 77 trees are going to be preserved?
That is not expected, no. What
Well,
is,
then why are they listed as suitable for preservation?
well, that was the assessment that Bartlett provided in consultation with WSP. And Clayton, would you like to address that in terms of just the process of the staking of the survey and staking of the limit of work and the kind of site-specific assessment of any possible trees that could be preserved?
Yeah, I can address that, Carol. Yeah, so to be clear, Bartlett was tasked with identifying the trees and all these different categories, the size of the tree, the condition of the tree, along these alignments within the limit of disturbance as best as they could identify that with their accuracy of their Trimble receiver. So what they did not take into account, or that's not their task, is to identify how deep is the fill where this tree is. If it's at a spot where it's going to get 3 feet of fill, it's not going to survive unless you have a huge tree well for it, and that's really not likely or suitable for this kind of road. You're not going to be able to put a tree well in there to save the root, the critical root zone, right? So they didn't bring that aspect into their assessment, and likewise they weren't there to identify how much saltwater intrusion or where the new elevations of the rising sea level would be along the road. So, but identifying that and the general scope of things, knowing that anything on the water side of the road, and if it's close to the existing water line, which will increase, those trees are going to get impacted, and that is why when we fall back on that general statement that Ken McPhee from Bartlett gave us about that generally they're not going to be able to survive due to saltwater intrusion and the grade fills.
Okay, so then can we presume or assume that most of the trees that we see indicated along within the color photographs, and I think Bonnie may have mentioned this earlier, most of these trees are going to be lost, if not all?
In my opinion, yes.
Okay,
And I think that is that's not anything different than what Carol and Jay have said as well.
okay, all right, just for my clarification, because I
Okay.
wasn't sure with what I saw when I saw suitable for preservation, and then they came up with a whole appendix as to how to go about preserving these. So our understanding is most, if not all, of these trees will be lost during the process of the work.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Bob, I can confirm, I drove it today. I would say there is nowhere near 80 trees within the layout of these three roads. I was surprised. For the most part, a majority of Old County Road towards Truro, very few trees in the 40-foot layout. Most of them are in the, they start on the upland side, maybe 15 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet outside the layout. That holds true to High Toss Bridge Road from Pole Dyke all the way down to Duck Harbor Road. Everything on the right, which is the marsh, practically, I think you could count the trees on one hand. It's all grass, heavy brush. Most of it is on the hill on the left-hand side, upland, and most of that is scrub pine. When you get down into Bombrook, most of Bombrook, if I'm correct, probably 3/4 of the way down Bombrook, there's no disturbance. It's all highland. It's when I started seeing on the dirt the red marks, towards the end is where I started seeing the 40-foot stakes and the start of where the work was going to be done. It's real narrow there right now, but most of that was scrub oak again. So I think even taking a 25% of trees, that number is extremely high. Number two, raising the elevations 3 to 5 feet on these roads, from someone that's dealt with cuts and fills, those trees aren't going to live. They're going to die just from working around them. And as Jay said earlier to the planning board members, that even if you tried to work around them in the layout, by the time you did the grading and then the salt water, they're going to die, and then you're going to come back and have a mess on your hands. So I know it's a concern to everyone, but at the same time, it's difficult or almost impossible to build and elevate these roads without losing trees of this nature. You are picking up a new habitat. I can tell you, it scares me. I'm looking at 50 years when I came here and looking at some of what's happening out there. It is a change. I know back 100 years ago what it was, but it's a change for all of us that have been living here. We're going to have to adapt to the changes. We're beginning to adapt to it at Duck Harbor. I guess it grows on us, but I can see birds coming back in when I saw them today, and habitat starting, so it's a work in progress. But I don't think there are an awful lot of trees that would ever live if we could even work around them with what's going to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Through the chair. I'd just kind of like to reiterate, I think that most of these trees are outside of our jurisdiction, and I'm very familiar with this area. It's one of my favorite places to recreate, forage, take my kids for hikes. Looking at these aerial photographs, the green clusters of trees are all on particularly steep hillsides. And if you go to these areas, you will notice that those hillsides do not have a line of trees right next to the road. They are, in fact, covered with trees, and more than that, covered with the dead trunks of trees that have already died in that place. I think when considering how many trees we're going to lose during this particular element of this project, it's important to remember that the entirety of our forest out here is brand new, ecologically speaking. We're talking about a forest that's less than 100, 120 years old, and if we were to go back 120 years, we would just see sweeping grass fields everywhere across Cape Cod, with the exception of a few select shade trees, or maybe some groves where somebody didn't have some sort of livestock. So driving down this road, there's lots of beautiful trees. There's twisted little scrub trees that are beautiful in their own way, and there's a couple of great big beautiful oak trees, like on this northeast corner of Merrick Island. Most of those trees, especially in that particular zone, the overwash of Duck Harbor a couple of years ago, that's taken care of those. If they haven't died yet, they probably will in the future. I think it's also important to remember, as a tree grows up, it also grows down. And the only thing saving the smaller trees and bushes that may still look like they have life in them is the fact that their root structure is so high in the soil, where the saltwater intrusion hasn't been able to fully get to yet. So we're not looking at the full extent of what the overflow from Duck Harbor has already done. There is still more death to happen. I think that a project of this size, I have this as sort of a comment. I do have a question for you to go along with what the chair said. Can you think of any reasons why the roads, we will not get permission to raise the roads in the way that you need to complete the project? Anything outside of our purview here?
No.
Okay, so that is to assume then that with our sign-off, then the construction of these roads will be accepted? Or we will, that it'll continue on as planned?
Correct.
And if the roads are not able to be raised, you said that we won't be able to open the bridge nearly as much, just a small portion equal to what we had now with the dike?
Yes, I mean, it would not allow meaningful tidal restoration. I can't say it would be no more than existing, but
Right.
it would certainly limit the whole purpose of the project
Right, so
significantly.
the vision for the entirety of the project, once it's complete, is to have effectively just a bridge across the Herring River there between Chequesset Neck and Griffin Island. That will be a beautiful project, and if it is successful, which I very much hope that it will be, we're not looking at a time frame of what's going to look like in the next year or two, or even the next 10 or 20 years. We're looking at a time frame, not to be punitive at all, but I'm the youngest member on the board, a project, the benefits of which might not even be truly realized in my lifetime. So I think that to hold up this, the road raising project based on these trees, on the whole, or holistically speaking, about the environment would be a detriment. I also had one more question, sorry.
Go. No?
I know that the chair also brought up there's going to be some pretty steep grades on the side of the roads where they are raised. I'm assuming that you have some sort of plan for vegetation, revegetation with native species or things like that?
Yes, Clayton, would you like to address that?
Sure. We have plugs of wetland plantings. There's vegetation. There's a guardrail on practically the entire duration. A very beautiful wooden guardrail along the waterside duration of the main alignment as well. So yes, it's all being vegetated.
Also, is there any revetment planned, any sort of, any places in the design that are maybe that we're anticipating the grade to be too steep and we're going to need some sort of retaining wall or structure?
So I believe
Yes.
this.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'll just answer that question. That's a good insight. There's a short section along the second culvert that will have a MSC, which is mechanically stabilized earth wall, built along the side. So it's a earthen wall. It'll be vegetated. It's not a hardened wall such as concrete or gabion stone type of wall.
That's great. Thank you very much, Mr. Carlisle.
Sure.
I'm going to have a hold on the planning board members at this moment and open it up to general public questions so the planning board can come back and answer any of those questions, or if it brings up any questions for the planning board. Anybody in the audience have a question that's sitting in the audience? Okay. When our town administrator gets finished fooling around with he comes back.
Oh, they're there.
Thank you, Tomas.
Thank you.
Thanks
Is
for
there-
not laughing at my technological prowess.
Sorry about that, Tom. Anybody on the Zoom that has a question?
Helen first.
Yes, Ellen? Helen?
Yes, Helen Miranda Wilson. I'm here as a member of the Herring River Executive Council, which is 3 members from the town and 2 members from the park. Under the MOU 4, we are in many ways the deciders. I also was on the planning board for 3 years. I have a question, since the chair referred to the fact that this needs to also be referred to the ZBA. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 87, which deals with shade trees.
Wait a minute, Helen, just so I can clear that statement up. The only thing that they would have to go to the Board of Appeals for are those notable 4 or 5 trees. Nothing to do with the scenic road project whatsoever, just those 4 notable trees, 4 or 5, if one's dead.
Thank you, Chair. I am aware of that. And
I
thank
just
you
wanted
for-
to make sure it was clear to everybody else in the audience as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's clear to me, but what I want to say is this. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 87, and this may have already happened, although I don't think so, because I've been going to all the Herring River-related agenda items in different committees. Section 1 defines public shade trees, and all the trees, whether they're notable or not, that are not brush, right, along these roads, qualify as public shade trees. And under Section 4, it mentions that another committee, that is to say the Select Board, should approve this work because that bolsters it against, should we say, objections. I think this meeting is a very good one for the Select Board to have seen and also for them to read Section 4 of Chapter 87, along with the definition of public shade trees. Thank you. Maybe it's already happened. Through you, Chair, to Carol Ridley. Has that already happened? Has the Select Board said, yeah, this is good work, go ahead and do it?
Well, I believe that we have been before the Select Board many times to brief them on this project. The specific section within Chapter 85.
87.
87 has not been discussed, to my knowledge.
Yeah, it would, Chair, is it okay if I say something back to Carol?
Yes?
Thank you. I think it would be a good idea since it's required. And it would be kind of a no-brainer because this is the substantial meeting that gives a huge amount of information about it. Thank you.
Yeah, we will, I think we will take that under advisement, Helen. Thank you for noting that. We'll take it under advisement and discuss with council the applicability of that, that provision. Thanks.
I would agree, that's a different situation completely, not before the planning board. And we can't make anything contingent on the Board of Selectmen. Okay. Any other, yes?
Shorts next.
I'm sorry? Lou? Yes? Lou? Eden, did you go?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so just as a point of clarification, aren't we talking about trees that are not viable in the long run, whether the project goes ahead or not? These are trees which have been negatively impacted by overflows and rain and inundation of brackish water, and they're just not viable. The question is whether or not we can remove them to facilitate the project going ahead. But I don't think it helps at all to identify them as beautiful shade trees. I've been photographing them for many years, and by and large, they're all dead now. So I think we do not have, or the board is not considering clearly just what the issue is. So just my comment from someone who's been there, hiked it, and photographed it very often in the last few years, 10 years, in fact.
I think the board has been clear as to our jurisdiction is within the 40 feet layout. And we've looked at there's no stone walls. We've looked at there's substantially not tree cover that is either alive or will be dead when the project is completed. So I think we're staying in our lane, and we're realizing that we're within the 40-foot layout. What happens outside that layout is not something that we can address
Right,
tonight.
but I don't hear an understanding that these trees are not viable right now as we speak. And if the project were to pack up and go away today, the trees would not recover.
I believe that the planning board as well understands that clearly.
Okay, so the point is, can they be removed to facilitate the project?
That's a decision the planning board will make tonight.
Right, thank you.
Okay. Do you see any other hands?
Two more. EMB first. I forget what her name is. Could you actually state her name?
Eugenie Marie Brown.
Eugene? Yep.
Eugene?
Yes. Hi, thank you. I think I don't know if we have to consider this an all or nothing thing. Like, I don't know that you need to approve that all 328 trees be cut down.
No.
To not stand in the way of the project. The 77 trees that are deemed highly suitable for preservation, I realize some of them are on the marsh side and we'll need to cut those down. I realize some of them are in the grade change area and they won't be able to live. But there are some that are not either one of those things. They're across from the marsh and they're highly suitable for preservation. I think we should really strive to save those trees wherever we can. I live on High Toss. Right now, our road is about 12 feet wide, and it's going to be 30 to 40 feet wide, and that concerns me. The tree clearing. So I just want you to really think and understand what trees are coming down before you approve this. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Have you seen the staking by any chance, since you live on High Toss?
I did not see the stakes, no.
Okay.
I don't live there full time. I didn't see the stakes when we were there a week and a half
Okay.
ago.
Carol?
I just want everyone to understand in the audience who might be listening. So the proposed plan for High Toss Road would be a road width of about 15 feet with a shoulder on either side. So the road itself is not going to be 30 feet by any measure. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want that to be misunderstood.
Yeah, so it's the 30 feet of area that can be cleared of trees, right? Is that what, how wide will the tree clearing be? Is it 30 to 40 feet?
So the road layout, I don't have the precise measurement of the road layout. It could be 30 feet in that area, but that's not going to be the road width. I just.
Right, but 30 feet of clearing versus 10, 12 feet of clearing is going to be very different.
How?
Thank you.
Do you have an average of what High Toss Bridge Road is being raised? Old High Toss?
Clayton?
Yeah. I'm scaling it now. I mean,
I could just pull it off the maps that I have, but I think it'd be easier just to ask you the question.
right. And I'm doing the same thing that you would be doing. So,
Yeah.
because I don't know that off the top of my head, but I mean, let's say that the road is going to be, with the shoulder on the side and, the stormwater feature on the upland side to collect some runoff. You're talking about, say, 25 feet of width, perhaps, of which not all of it is road, okay? Just to be clear, Carol already stated how wide the road would be.
Right, that would be a cut and fills?
Yeah, they're all, yeah, there's a very little cut, but it's all essentially fill. We're raising it up. But on the upland side, there is going to be just a drainage swale, a slight feature to a level spreader just to collect some of the rainwater
Okay. Thank you.
runoff.
Again, I did drive that today. I know that subdivision very well since I did it. There's very little, most of it is a lot of scrub on that upland side. So, and it's practically all low, heavy brush on the marsh side. No trees to speak of at all. Who was the last one, Eden?
Kathleen Bacon.
Kathleen?
Good evening, Board. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Kathleen.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much for taking the time to make the drive and do the homework on this. High Toss Bridge Road is my backyard, and I walk it daily with my dog Jake. So I saw the stakes. I saw the clearing done. I think the due diligence that the team for the Herring River restoration has done on this part of the project has been really, really well done and remarkable. I have seen the changes in my lifetime here with the overwash for Duck Harbor to correct Jay. That happened in 2023. So we've been dealing with that for a while now. And it's changed this area dramatically and irrevocably. So, there's really no turning that back. I really appreciated the comments of the newest planning board member, forgive me and apologize here because I can't remember your name, but I think you characterized the area in question very, very well. So thank the board for, I hope, what will be a supportive vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Anyone else, Eden? Okay.
Oh, we have one more, Christine from Friends of Herring River.
Christine?
Hi, good evening. I just wanted to also address a comment to the youngest board member who asked about revegetation. All of our environmental permits require, and all of our design plans include planting plans, requirements for native vegetation, requirements for control of invasive species, and all of that is also addressed to some extent in the contract technical specifications. So we have all of the regulatory agencies require that we consider carefully revegetation of the areas that are exposed during construction.
Thank you. Anyone else? It's good to have youth on the board. Eden?
Oh, no one else.
Okay. I'll give the general public sitting here one more chance. Any questions? If not, I will close the public hearing to the general public, except for the applicants, and bring it back to the board members. Board members, you have any questions?
No, it's clear.
We can do this two ways. I can see if we can get a motion on all three as one motion, or I can do it individually. Do you have any preference? Okay.
There's a draft motion on page 2.
To the chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion.
All right. Are you seconding the motion that's on page 2?
Does somebody have to first just make the motion initially?
At least we
Well, no,
tried.
yeah, it would be, all right,
Yes.
you want to read the motion?
Not particular. I move that the planning board consent pursuant to Chapter 200 of the Wellfleet General Bylaws to the tree clearing required for the elevation of low-lying roads and replacement of culverts in accordance with permits issued for Phase 1 of the Herring River Restoration Project as presented to the planning board on September 17th, 2025, and following duly advertised public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
I would, before you second it, I would ask that you include the three names of the roads.
Include in that motion that is the plan that's been handed to us, which includes Bound Brook Island Road from Old County Road to Bound Brook Public Landing, High Toss Road from Pole Dyke Road to Duck Harbor Road, and Old County Road, which is also known as Bound Brook Island Road, from the transfer station all the way to Truro.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Planning board members, any discussion? I can't see Bob. Has Bob got his hand up? You all set, Bob?
Yes, Mr. Chair, but I believe I don't vote because.
No, I alternate,
do have
yeah.
quorum.
Thank you. All right, seeing no additional questions, motions on the floor. Roll call vote. Al?
Alexander Emmons, vote yes, or aye.
Beth?
Beth Singer, aye.
Bonnie?
Bonnie Shepherd, aye.
Don Themis, aye.
Gerald Parent? Aye. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank the board. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great night, everyone.
Good luck.
Thank you.
But you're not going anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
You're not going in?
No, she's got, she's sitting here for the approval not required plan. And our plan
Do you need me for this?
for the exchange of land over the bridge.
Carol, thank you.
That's been for you tonight. I remind board members, approval not required plan is simply the board stating there is no subdivision. Really neat and clean. Any motion on the approval not required plan? We approve?
I move we approve the plan as presented.
Any second?
I'll second.
Any seconds? Any discussion? All those in favor? Al? Discussion?
Roll
Okay.
call or?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll take a roll call and just to, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Al?
Alexander Emmons, aye.
Beth Singer, aye.
Bonnie Shepherd, aye.
Don Themis, aye.
Gerald Parent, aye.
Thank you very, very much. I do have the Mylar here. I don't know what your custom is. Do you sign it this evening, or do you want to sign it and we can pick it up from Eden?
Yeah, we'll sign, leave it with us,
Okay.
we'll sign it, and, you can either leave it in our hands, or you can bring it back at 21 days. It's safe, because I'm gonna probably put it in the planning board office.
Yeah, I'll just,
Okay, just leave it with her,
and then
Yep.
at your convenience, yeah.
yes.
Great. Thank you.
I'm
very
sure we
much.
don't have the felt pen with us, do we, Eden?
Sorry, Jerry?
There's a special pen we have to sign that with, we don't have it?
What plan, sorry?
That pen.
There's a special pen that we need to sign the
Oh, I don't have the pen.
No problem. Members, please stop by and sign the plan when you have a chance.
Okay.
Thank you. And then 21 days. Well, I'm sorry?
Beth Piles.
Oh, yeah, Beth. Hi, Beth. She probably wanted to say something before we did it. Beth, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Thank you so much.
Did I overstep and not?
No, I agree. We'll, if the board members can stop by the planning board office at Cemetery Road and sign, that would be great. And then we'll notify the surveyor, or Carol, do you want us to notify you as well? We'll notify both of you, I think,
Yeah, so
that the Mylar is ready to pick up.
what Beth said is she'll let you know when it's ready.
Perfect.
Okay?
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time this evening.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Carol.
Thank you, Beth and Eden.
Let's see.
Minutes.
Minutes of the last meeting. I'm here, so,
September 3rd.
yep. Any changes, deletions? If not, anybody want to make a motion on the minutes?
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Any seconds?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4 in favor, I abstain. Okay. Beth, you have any town planner report?
I do. So in regard to the seasonal communities, the EOHLC, through Secretary Augustus, has announced that they will be coming out with draft regulations for the seasonal communities within the next, approximately the next 3 weeks, which will be great because I think the select board, I believe, I don't want to speak for them, but I spoke before the select board regarding doing the ADU zoning bylaw amendments and the seasonal community bylaw amendment going forward at the same time at Springtown meeting so that we have internal consistency, but we were still looking for some direction from EOHLC regarding the draft regs for seasonal communities. So those should be coming out within the next 3 weeks, as I said. So I think it would be, if, you know, the planning board would like, I think it would be important to kind of start the process of amending the ADU bylaw and creating a new seasonal community bylaw throughout late fall, winter, and early spring in order that it can go forward to the spring meeting, town meeting, and that it has a chance to go through public hearings and for comment. So that is my report. The only other thing is I just wanted to give a reminder that hopefully, I guess it is October 1st, that would be the next, sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but the next meeting would be on the 230, 270 Old Kings Highway, doing the voting on the decision of denial for the subdivision plan. So those are the only two issues I have. Are there any questions?
Nope. I think what I'll do is I'll leave that first, because it's, it's so quick, that I'll just have the Sexton subdivision on the agenda. And we'll start, that'll give us enough time to know whether or not the state kicked out the information we need. In the second meeting in October, we can start with the ADU bylaws and anything else we want to work on for spring meeting.
Okay, that sounds great. And yeah, hopefully, if, we have a second meeting in October, which typically we do, then I can, through Eden, send out the draft regs to you all as planning board members, so you have a chance to review.
Yes, because that second meeting will be the 15th. I think town meeting is 27th,
I want to say,
20th or 27th, right?
yeah, I think it's before that. I'll have to confirm.
No problem, but I think the 15th, if there's a conflict.
It's the 22nd, it's a Wednesday.
All right, so that's the week after our second meeting.
Yeah, I
So
thought
that
it was
works
the
out pretty well.
22nd. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Motion to adjourn?
I move, we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Al? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Good.